Have you ever felt that, undeniable pull towards someone, while others who seem, well, perfect on paper just don't ignite that spark?
Oh, definitely.
Or maybe you felt that initial flicker for someone and it just faded, but with someone else, it deepened into something really profound.
It's a classic human puzzle, isn't it?
Totally.
And today, we're doing a deep dive into exactly that mystery. The complex psychology of attraction. We want to go beyond just the surface stuff.
Yeah, uncover the hidden forces, right?
Exactly. We'll look at it from, well, pretty much every angle, what our brains are doing, the role our senses play, which is kind of surprising. How culture shapes what we find attractive and, what it actually takes to keep that attraction going long term.
Right. Our mission today is to give you a clearer picture of why the heart wants what it wants, maybe offer some insights you can actually use in your own life, your own connections.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. That initial spark. Is it something that just happens, like, bam, lightning bolt, or is it something we, actively build?
That's a really interesting question. And honestly, there's a lot of debate. You hear different things. Some people feel strongly it's there, it's not kind of deal.
Yeah.
That immediate chemistry has to be there.
Right, that zap.
But what's fascinating is how often that first impression changes. I mean, there was this Reddit user who shared a great story.
Oh, yeah.
Met their now spouse 13 years ago. Initial feeling, just cute, easy to talk to, respectful, pretty low-key.
Okay.
But over time, their love and, importantly, their attraction grew exponentially, became something incredibly powerful.
Wow. Okay, so that really speaks to the nurture side of things then.
It does. It suggests that, well, an initial spark might be nice, maybe helpful to get things started, but it's definitely not the whole picture. Lots of sources say, you might need that spark to ignite the flame, but you absolutely have to nurture and cultivate that flame to keep it going.
So it's not automatic?
Not at all. That first feeling, even if it's just kind of, they're okay, can really blossom as you get closer, emotionally and physically.
Okay, that makes sense. And speaking of how we're sort of wired for this, there's this concept called a love map. What's that about?
The love map. Yeah, the idea is we build this unconscious internal map starting in childhood, is based on our earliest experiences, with parents, caregivers, those first relationships.
Okay.
And this map then subtly guides who we find ourselves drawn to later on. It can even help explain sometimes why people repeat unhealthy patterns. Things like addictive bonds or trauma bonding.
Because those unhealthy dynamics somehow got written into their map early on.
Exactly. If that was part of their early experience of connection, it can feel familiar, even right, on a subconscious level. It's like a hidden blueprint.
That really shows how deep this stuff runs, how our past shapes our present attractions. Okay, so let's shift from that internal map to the immediate science of connection. What's going on psychologically and even with our senses when we first meet someone?
Well, a really core idea here is reinforcement theory. Basically, we're drawn to interactions that feel good, that give us rewards.
Simple enough, like someone being nice to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's also more subtle than that sometimes. There's the reinforcement effect model.
Okay.
This suggests we like people who reward us directly, sure, but we also like people who are just around when good things happen.
Like guilt by association, but in a good way.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Imagine meeting someone new. If you meet them in a really cool, comfortable room versus a hot, stuffy, uncomfortable one, studies show you're actually more likely to like them in the pleasant room.
No way, just the room.
Yep. Or think about a great first date, maybe a fantastic meal at a nice restaurant. The pleasant experience itself gets linked to the person, boosting your feelings for them. It's indirect reinforcement.
Okay, wow. So our brains link the good vibes of the situation to the person. Makes sense. What about how we sort of evaluate relationships? Is there a kind of calculation involved?
That brings us to social exchange theory and equity theory. These ideas suggest we, often unconsciously, weigh the costs and benefits. What am I putting in? What am I getting out?
A little mental spreadsheet.
Sort of. Attraction tends to thrive when both people feel the ratio is fair. If someone feels like they're always giving more or getting less, that imbalance can really kill the attraction over time. It's about feeling it's, well, equitable.
Right, fairness matters. So beyond those theories, what are the really big, consistent factors drawing us together? Besides, the obvious physical stuff.
Okay, one of the biggest, maybe simplest, is just proximity. Being physically close.
Like who you work with or go to school with.
Exactly. Or your neighbors in a dorm. Super common. And part of this is the mere exposure effect.
Mere exposure, meaning?
Just being exposed to something or someone repeatedly tends to make us like it more. Think of a new song on the radio. First listen, maybe you're not sure.
Yeah.
But after hearing it 10 times, it grows on you. Familiarity genuinely seems to breed liking, or at least comfort.
I've totally experienced that with music. Okay, proximity. What else?
Well, reciprocity is huge.
Yeah.
We naturally tend to like people who like us back.
Makes sense. It feels good to be liked.
Absolutely. That genuine affection, support, someone showing they care, it's a powerful reward. And then probably the most crucial for the long run, similarity.
Similarity. I thought opposites attract.
Ah, the age-old myth. The research overwhelmingly shows the opposite, actually.
Really?
Yeah. The more similar two people are, especially in attitudes, values, core beliefs, the more they tend to like each other, and crucially, the more likely they are to stay together long term. Birds of a feather really do flock together.
Wow. Okay, so common ground is key.
Definitely. Even Sternberg's triangular theory of love points to similarity being important for maintaining passion, intimacy, and commitment over time.
So our brains like comfort, familiarity, common ground. But what about our more primal senses, like smell? Does that play a role?
Oh, absolutely. Olfaction, our sense of smell, is surprisingly important and complex. Our individual body odors actually communicate a lot.
Like what?
Our identity, for one. And it influences mate choice. It might even help us subconsciously avoid partnering with someone too genetically close, like relatives.
Oh, how does that work?
It gets really interesting with our immune system genes. Specifically, the major histocompatibility complex, or MHC. These genes influence our body odor.
Okay.
And studies show that women, generally speaking, tend to prefer the scents of men whose MHC genotypes are dissimilar to their own.
Wait, dissimilar, not similar.
Exactly, dissimilar.
Yeah.
The linking theory is that this preference evolved to boost genetic diversity in offspring.
For stronger immune systems in the kids.
Precisely. It's like a subconscious drive for healthier babies. And get this, some research suggests a woman's preference might be linked more to her father's immune system genes than her mother's. Highly specific.
That is wild. So when we pick out perfume or cologne, are we trying to smell good for someone else?
You'd think so, but maybe not. Research suggests we often choose fragrances that amplify our own unique MHC-related scent signature.
So we're enhancing our own smell, not covering it up or mimicking something else.
Seems like it. It's about boosting our unique chemical signal. And it gets even more specific. Women's scent preferences can actually shift across their menstrual cycle.
How so?
Near ovulation, when fertility is highest, they might show a stronger preference for the scent of men who are more symmetrical. A subtle sign of good genes. And it might not even be about the smell being pleasant, but more about the absence of an unpleasant smell.
Wow. Subtle signals everywhere. What about pheromones? Are those a real thing in humans?
The research in humans is trickier, less definitive than in, say, insects. But there's some suggestive evidence. Well, the phenomenon of menstrual synchrony among women living closely together is often attributed to pheromones. And there are secretions from Montgomery's glands on a mother's breast. These secretions make newborns suckle more strongly. And interestingly, it works with any lactating mother's secretions, not just their biological moms.
So it's a general signal to all babies.
Seems like it. It points towards a potential human pheromone playing a critical role in that very early survival and bonding.
It really feels like there's this whole invisible chemical conversation happening all the time. Okay, let's switch to something very visible. Physical attractiveness. It's obviously a big factor, right? Especially at first.
Undeniably. In those initial encounters, especially dating, appearance can often be the main thing people focus on.
But do we all go for the same type?
Not necessarily. There's something called the matching phenomenon. People tend to pair up with partners who are roughly at a similar level of physical attractiveness to themselves.
Why is that? Less chance of rejection.
That's a big part of the theory, yeah. We might intuitively aim for someone we perceive as being in our league, so to speak.
Makes practical sense. And then there's that stereotype, the idea that attractive people are also seen as smarter, happier.
Right, the physical attractiveness stereotype, sometimes called the halo effect. We unconsciously tend to assume attractive individuals possess other positive qualities, even with zero evidence.
And that bias can actually affect real-world things.
Oh, definitely. It can influence job interviews, performance reviews, even how teachers perceive and treat misbehaving kids. It's a surprisingly pervasive bias.
What's beautiful is good, huh?
Unconsciously, often yes. but we absolutely have to remember that beautiful itself isn't universal. Cultural variation is massive.
How so?
Well, Western cultures might idealize a certain body type, like the hourglass figure, while some other cultures have historically valued plumper physiques. Think about differing Asian beauty standards like double eyelids or pale skin versus certain African tribal traditions involving lip plates or specific scarification.
So beauty really is in the eye of the, well, culture.
To a large extent, yes. These standards often reflect deep societal values, history, even economic factors.
Yeah.
And they can put immense pressure on people, especially women, to conform.
It's such a mix of biology and culture. And these cultural ideas, plus our own experiences, they must feed into unconscious bias in dating, right? Especially now with apps.
Absolutely. Our upbringing, past relationships, media exposure, it all shapes these biases without us even realizing it. And dating apps, they can really amplify this.
How? Because it's so visual and fast.
Exactly. The focus on photos, the quick swiping, it plays right into snap judgments. And the algorithms themselves can learn and perpetuate these biases.
You mean the app might show you people based on biased patterns?
It can happen. Data analysis from platforms like Cupid, for instance, has shown persistent patterns like Asian men and black men often receiving fewer messages than white men, and black women sometimes receiving the fewest overall.
Wow, that's pretty stark. It shows how these internal biases have real external consequences. How do you even begin to tackle something like that in yourself?
It takes real conscious effort. It means questioning those first gut reactions, asking yourself why you swiped left or right.
Self-awareness, basically.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And actively trying to broaden your horizons. Maybe consciously look at profiles you might normally skip over.
Yeah.
Give people a chance beyond that first photo impression. It's about challenging your own defaults.
A constant process, it sounds like. Okay, let's go even deeper now. Inside the brain. What's actually happening chemically and neurologically when we feel attraction and fall in love?
This is where it gets incredibly cool, I think. Romantic love isn't just filed under emotion. It's really a powerful motivation system.
A motivation system. For what?
Fundamentally, for selecting a mate and bonding with them, which, from an evolutionary perspective, is crucial for survival and reproduction. And the system seems to have three main components that work together.
Okay, 3 parts. What are they?
First, there's lust. That's the basic sex drive. It's driven mainly by hormones like testosterone and estrogen and involves brain areas like the amygdala. It's satiable, and it's not necessarily focused on one person.
Got it. Raw drive. What's next?
Second is attraction. This is where you start focusing that energy on specific individuals. This phase is fueled by neurochemicals like dopamine, norepinephrine, and even cortisol.
Cortisol, the stress hormone.
Yeah, interestingly, it seems to create a kind of stress-reward connection in this intense phase. Key brain areas here are the reward centers, like the nucleus accumbens and the ventral tegmental area, VTA.
So this is the phase with the intense focus, the euphoria, maybe ignoring red flags.
That's characteristic of it, yes. Idealization, high energy, reduced negative judgment. It's all part of that attraction cocktail.
Okay. Lust, attraction. What's the third part?
The third is attachment. This is what facilitates long-term bonding, sticking together. It relies heavily on hormones like vasopressin and oxytocin.
The cuddle hormones.
Exactly. They operate through areas like the ventral pallidum. Attachment is what makes bonds feel stable and persistent, usually focused on one partner. And it helps explain why breaking up feels so awful, especially from this stage.
Because you're disrupting that deep bonding chemistry.
Precisely. And fMRI scans actually show activity in these reward and motivation areas, VTA, nucleus accumbens, not just in the initial passionate phase, but also in people in stable, long-term relationships.
So the brain's reward system stays involved.
It seems so, yeah. It's all orchestrated by this amazing symphony of neurochemicals.
You mentioned dopamine, norepinephrine.
Right. Dopamine drives the motivation, the seeking. Norepinephrine sharpens focus, helps form memories of the person. Serotonin levels might actually drop initially, potentially contributing to that obsessive thinking common in early love. And then oxytocin promotes trust, bonding, stress reduction. Vasopressin is also key for long-term commitment, even protectiveness. And interestingly, testosterone might dip in men once they're in a committed, pair-bonded relationship.
To maybe reduce the drive to seek other partners.
That's one theory, yeah. Promote sticking around.
This sounds so much like addiction, with the reward centers lighting up and the intense focus. Is there a difference?
It's a really valid comparison. And neurologically, there are overlaps. Love definitely activates those reward pathways strongly, like addictive substances can. But healthy love typically involves natural feedback loops. There are built-in checks and balances that usually prevent the kind of destructive, escalating patterns seen in substance addiction. It's powerful, but generally adaptive.
That's reassuring. Are there differences in how male and female brains typically respond?
Research suggests there are some general tendencies, likely rooted in evolutionary pressures. Men's brains might show stronger responses to visual cues related to youth and fertility, whereas women's brains might show more activation when evaluating things like social status, resources, signs of commitment in a potential partner. Again, broad tendencies reflecting different reproductive strategies over millennia.
Makes sense from that perspective. And what about actual sex? How does that fit into the brain chemistry of bonding?
Oh, it's crucial. Sexual activity directly stimulates the brain's reward system, which reinforces the emotional bond.
How?
Well, physical intimacy, like breast or nipple stimulation, releases oxytocin. Orgasm triggers a flood of oxytocin in women and vasopressin in men. All these chemicals are powerful bonding agents. It creates this loop where physical closeness deepens emotional attachment.
It really shows how interconnected the physical and emotional are.
Okay, so we've covered a lot, from the first spark to brain chemistry. But what about, well, the trickier side of attraction? Why are some people drawn to traits that seem, frankly, negative? And how do we make any of this last?
Right. This brings us to the dark triad traits: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy.
Sounds ominous.
They are generally negative traits, yes, but research does suggest that people exhibiting these traits, particularly men, can sometimes be perceived as more attractive, especially in short-term contexts. And this seems to be somewhat independent of just physical looks.
But why? What's attractive about narcissism or manipulation? It's debated. One idea is it's an evolutionary echo. Maybe these traits signal confidence, dominance, risk-taking, which could have been advantageous in certain ancestral environments. The bad boy, allure. Another view is that individuals high in these traits are simply better at appearing attractive initially. They might be charming, manipulative, good at self-promotion, which can be effective for, say, securing short-term partners, even if it doesn't bode well for long-term relationships.
So it's more about the performance of attractiveness than the traits themselves being good.
Possibly, yeah. It's complex and a bit unsettling, but it highlights that initial attraction doesn't always signal long-term compatibility or well-being.
Which leads perfectly into the next question: how do you make attraction last? Because that initial intensity, whether it's good or dark, clearly isn't enough.
Not even close. Sustaining attraction long-term requires ongoing, conscious effort from both people. It doesn't just coast.
So what does that effort look like?
A huge part is simply staying present and available for connection. Making time for real conversations, shared experiences, physical touch, not just living separate lives under one roof.
Active engagement.
Exactly. Also, basic things like maintaining your own mental and physical health, hygiene, taking care of yourself contributes positively. And a big one, doing new things together.
Trying new restaurants, hobbies.
Yes, both in and out of the bedroom. Novelty helps combat routine and can rekindle desire when it naturally ebbs and flows, which it will over years. But maybe the absolute foundation is building and maintaining trust, reliance, and deep respect.
Yeah, that feels essential. It sounds like comfort and knowing someone deeply can actually become more attractive over time, not less.
It absolutely can.
Yeah.
There was another Reddit comment that really captured this. Someone saying they love their partner through aging, body changes, all of it, and found them even more attractive now because of that deep comfort and authenticity they share.
That's beautiful. It's adapting, finding beauty beyond the superficial.
It is. And of course, open communication about needs, desires, feelings. That's non-negotiable for navigating changes and keeping attraction alive.
And for some people, healing past issues might be necessary too.
Definitely. Past traumas, like sexual assault, for instance, can deeply impact desire and feelings of safety in intimacy. Healing that is often a vital part of being able to connect fully and sustain attraction in a healthy way.
It's a whole person process. This really leads to a final important distinction, doesn't it, between attraction and love. They're not the same thing.
Not at all, though they often get tangled up, especially early on.
How would you separate them?
Attraction is often that first stage, driven by looks, chemistry, sexual desire. It can be intense, but also potentially temporary, maybe even a bit superficial. It's often focused on, getting your desires met. It's the initial pull.
Okay, the magnet.
Yeah.
And love.
Love is deeper. It develops out of or alongside attraction, hopefully. It involves genuine caring, mutual respect, empathy, trust. It's about wanting the other person's happiness, supporting their growth. It leads to stability, commitment. While attraction might fade or change, love, real love, endures and grows. It's less about getting, more about giving and co-creating something lasting.
Wow. Okay, so as we've really unpacked today, attraction is, well, it's definitely not simple.
Not even a little bit.
It's this incredible mix of like deep biology, our own personal histories, cultural messages, and then, yeah, the conscious choices we make.
It's that potent chemical reaction, but it's also the decision to keep nurturing the connection. It's both innate wiring and active cultivation.
And understanding all this shows how everything from, I don't know, ancient survival drives to very specific things that happen in our childhood shapes who we're drawn to, often in ways we don't even realize.
It really does. Our personal love maps are guiding us constantly.
So maybe the thought to leave everyone with is this: knowing what we now know about how these patterns form, what personal love maps might you be unconsciously carrying around? How might understanding your patterns, your attractions, maybe open up new possibilities in your relationships?